Hello viewers, question 7. We have a system which is in equilibrium here. We need to find the values of F1, which is the force below the horizontal on the right, and F2, which is the force below the horizontal on the left, that put the whole system in equilibrium. Now, with the last video, it was a little bit more straightforward because the two forces that we needed to find were horizontal and vertical respectively. We're not so lucky here, so this one is going to be a little bit trickier. Okay, so let's draw our force table. So we've got a force, we've got a column for horizontal and a column for vertical as usual. Okay, so going upwards we have a 4 Newton force which has a horizontal component of 0 and a vertical component of 4 upwards, so positive. Now below the horizontal on the right at a 40-degree angle we have our F1, which is one of our unknowns. Horizontal component of this force is going to be the cosine side because it's the adjacent. Angle is 40 and the size of the force is F1, pointing to the right, so the horizontal component is positive. And for the vertical component, which is this side, we've got the opposite side is what we're finding, so this will be the sine side. Angle is 40 degrees. The size is F1, pointing downwards, which makes it negative. And on the left, second unknown, which is F2, at 60 degrees below the horizontal. So here we're finding the horizontal component is the adjacent side, so this will be cosine. Angle is 60 degrees. Its length, its magnitude is F2, pointing to the left makes it negative, and its vertical component is the opposite side of that triangle, which means it's a sine side of 60 degrees, its size is F2, and pointing downwards makes it negative. Okay, so whole thing is in equilibrium, which means our totals must be 0. Okay, so from the horizontal column we've got F1, so from the FH column, we've got F1 times cosine of 40 minus F2 times cosine of 60 equals 0. Now that has two unknowns, it has F1 and F2, and our equation from the FV column will be likewise. So let's solve this could solve it for either F1 or F2. We'll go with F2. So let's move the F2 cos 60 to the other side. So we get F1 cosine of 40 equals positive F2 times cosine of 60. So we're solving it for F2. So the right hand side is F2 times cosine 60. So we need to divide both sides by cosine of 60. So we get F2 is F1 cosine of 40, and we're dividing that by cosine of 60. So F2 is F1 cosine 40 divided by cosine of 60. Okay, so now we look at the other equation, which is from the FV column. So we've got 4 minus F1 times sine of 40 minus F2 sine of 60 equals 0. So if we move the F1 sine 40 and the F2 sine 60 to the other side, we get F1 times sine of 40, and then we have plus F2 sine of 60 equals 4. So that's what we end up with if we move the two negatives to the other side. We get 4 equals F1 sine 40 plus F2 sine 60. Okay, so now we have an expression for F2 that we found from our horizontal equation. Let's substitute that in. So what that means is that F2 is the whole of F1 cosine 40 over cosine 60. Let's make that substitution. So we've got F1 sine of 40 plus F2, which is F1 times cosine 40 over cosine of 60. But that was just the F2. We've still got to put in the sine of 60 because it was F2 sine 60 equals 4. Okay, so on this left hand side we've got two terms. We've got one term here and one term here. What's common to both of them is that they have an F1 multiplying. So it's going to be F1 that we take out as a common factor. So it's F1 times what's left is sine of 40 plus cosine of 40 over cosine of 60 times sine of 60 equals 4. So what we have at the moment is F1 times a mess equals 4. So we just divide by the mess to find F1. So F1 is 4 divided by that whole bracket, which is sine of 40 plus cosine of 40 over cosine of 60 multiplied by sine 60, all on the denominator of the fraction. And if we calculate that, we end up with an answer of 2.03 newtons. Okay, so we've got F1. Now we've done all the hard work because we've already in the process got an equation that has F2, the subject, which was the equation that you see in the box above. F2 equals F1 cosine 40 over cosine 60, and all that needs to be done to find F2 is substitute in 2.03, so we get F2 is, let's write out that equation, F1 cosine 40 divided by cosine of 60, and if we put in the value of F1, which we just found to be 2.03, we get 2.03 cos 40 divided by cos of 60, and if we calculate that, we get 3.11 newtons. Okay, thanks for watching. Over and out.